Hello everyone. The first topic we are going to treat under Math 252 is domain. One may ask, what is domain? Domain is a set of values that make a function defined. So here we look out for the various set of values that makes functions defined. So here we are starting with f of x is equal to square root of x. So for this particular example, we want to look at the set of values or range of values that will make this function defined. So here we start with the domain. So the domain, if you want to find the domain of this particular function, you have to first look out for the things that will make the function undefined. For square root, square root becomes undefined when you take square root of negative numbers. So here, when you use your calculator and you punch square root of, let's say, -1, it will give you math error. This should tell you that square root of -1 will make the function undefined. But when you take square root of 0, it will give you 0, which should tell you that the function square root of 0 is defined at 0. So then 0 is part of the range of values that makes the square root defined. When you take square root of positive numbers, it will give you a particular answer. That should also tell you that the square root function is defined at those points. So here you can then say that square root of negative numbers becomes undefined. So if you want to put in a set of values that will make this function defined, then it must be from x to be greater than or equal to 0. So then this becomes the domain. So x belongs to all real numbers where x is greater than or equal to 0. So then this becomes the domain of this particular function. Now let's move to our second example, where we have f of x to be equal to 1 over x. Now we want to look out for the things that will make the function undefined. When you do it this way, it will help you get the set of values that makes the function defined. So now, if we have 1 over x, what value of x would make the function undefined? When we take x to be equal to 0, you have 1. So if we take x to be equal to 0, you have 1 over 0. 1 over 0 will give you math error, so that makes it what? Undefined. So it means that 0 is a value that makes this particular function undefined. But when you put a negative number in place of x, let's say you have, so we're taking x to be equal to, let's say, -1, you have 1 over -1, that will give you -1. This is defined. This is defined. So you can see that for this particular function, it's only x equals 0 that will make this particular function undefined. So then we say the domain of this function is equal to x belongs to all real numbers where x is not equal to 0. So then this becomes the domain of this particular function. Now let's move to our third example. So we have f of x to be equal to ln of x. So now, for this particular function, like I said from the previous examples, the first thing you have to do is to find the set of values that will make it undefined first, and this will help you find the set of values that will make it defined. So here, what value put in place of x will make len of x undefined? We can't take len of negative numbers, and we can't take len of 0. So it means that when you put in negative numbers in place of x and 0 in place of x, it will make this function undefined. So it means that for len to be defined, x must be positive numbers. So here, the domain of this particular function is x belongs to all real numbers where x is greater than 0. Now let's move to our fourth example. So here we have sine inverse of x. You have sine inverse of x. And now, what set of values will make x undefined? We know that for sine inverse, the range is between -1 and 1. So it means that you can't put in values above these two numbers. So here, the domain of this function is x belongs to all real numbers where -1 is less than or equal to x and x is less than or equal to 1. So this becomes the domain of this particular function. So from all these examples, it should tell you how to find the domain of a particular function. So like I said earlier, the domain of a particular function is the set of values that will make the function defined. So from all these examples, it is clear, or one may able to know how to find the domain of a particular function. That's the end of this topic. Thank you all.